He was halfway through Can't Help Falling in Love when he stopped. The band froze. The Vegas showroom held its breath. In the fourth row, a teenage girl clutched a cardboard sign, her hands trembling. Elvis stepped forward. "Who's got that voice I just heard?" This is one of those moments that proves why they called him the king. Stay with me, because what happened next wasn't in any set list, and it's something her family still talks about decades later. The house lights dim and a low hum rolls across the Hilton International showroom, like distant thunder. People stop mid-sentence. Cigarette smoke curls under the hot glow of the stage spots, already angled toward the deep red curtain. It's the mid-1970s, and Las Vegas is electric tonight. Out front, the marquee flashes, Elvis Presley, sold out in golden bulbs, blinking against the desert night. Inside, sequined jackets glitter in the aisles. You can smell a mix of Chanel No. 5 and stale beer. Programs rustle, ice clinks in lowball glasses. A booming voice from the wings. "Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Elvis Presley." The curtain bursts open and the band hits the first chord. A white blur strides forward, cape trailing, rhinestones scattering light into the balcony. The crowd rises as one, a wave of cheers crashing toward the stage. Down near the fourth row sits Marcy. 16, hair pinned up, hands gripping the edges of her homemade cardboard sign. "I want to sing with you, Elvis." She's kept it folded under her jacket all night, too nervous to hold it up. Her brother leans over. "Show him," he whispers. She shakes her head, cheeks hot. Elvis sweeps the stage, scanning the audience with that uncanny radar. He nods to the horns, hips moving in time, voice smooth and warm. Cameras flash like fireworks. Each verse lands harder than the last, and the crowd drinks it in. Marcy hums along softly, barely audible above the roar, but she knows every lyric. She's been singing in her bedroom for years, but never where anyone could hear her. Tonight she's just another face in a sea of thousands. The first two songs fly by. Then comes the third, Can't Help Falling in Love. The opening notes hang in the air, sweet and slow. Elvis steps towards stage right, leaning into the crowd. His gaze sharpens. Mid-verse he stops. The band falters, filling the gap with a quiet vamp. Elvis tilts his head slightly, like he's just caught a sound no one else did. His eyes fix on a small pocket of seats near the front. Marcy freezes. Her brother looks at her, wide-eyed. "Marcy, he's looking right at you." Elvis's voice drops into the mic, steady but curious. "Who's got that voice I just heard?" The room goes silent. Elvis raises one hand, palm down, the universal signal to bring it down. "Play it soft," he tells the band. The brass fades, drums tap like a heartbeat. According to people in the room that night, he steps forward slowly, scanning the darkened rows as if following a thread only he can hear. The spotlight swings toward the fourth row. It lands on Marcy. Her sign is still tucked under her jacket. She's frozen, lips parted, but she's been singing softly, almost to herself, and somehow it carried to the man in white. "Is that you, honey?" Elvis asks, smiling. A ripple moves through the crowd, low murmurs. A few gasps. Marcy's brother nudges her hard, whispering, "Answer him." She shakes her head slightly, terrified, but Elvis is already motioning to a security guard. "Bring her up here." Sensory zoom in. The walk to the stage feels endless. She can hear her own breathing over the muffled cheer. The carpet under her shoes gives way to the cool metal of the stairs. Stage lights blast her vision white. She blinks. Elvis leans down, reaching out his hand. It's warm, steady. Her fingers disappear in his grip. "You're all right," he says softly, almost off mic. Then into the crowd. "I think she's got something to show us." The showroom is pin-drop quiet now, except for the faint hiss of the amps. Marcy steps onto the main stage, her small frame dwarfed by the band's setup. Drum kit gleaming. Mic stands lined like sentinels. She glances back toward her brother, who's standing now, hands cupped around his mouth. Elvis gestures to the pianist. A quick nod. Let's see if the band can keep up with this young lady. The audience chuckles, but there's tension under it. No one knows if she'll speak, sing or bolt. She touches the microphone stand. Her knuckles are white. The smell of hot stage lights and cologne hangs heavy in the air. Elvis steps to her side, close enough for her to hear his breath between words. "Don't worry about them," he murmurs, tilting his head toward the crowd. "Just sing for me." She takes a breath, opens her mouth, and a clear, trembling note spills out. A few heads turn in surprise. Elvis grins. "Told you." The pianist shifts into a gentle intro, holding the key just long enough for her to find her place. The rest of the band watches Elvis, waiting for his cue. He gives it a subtle wave of the hand, and the room's air seems to thicken in anticipation. Elvis leans into the mic, says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Marcy." The first full note leaves her lips, and the band comes alive. The first notes drift out like glass, fragile, uncertain. Marcy's voice quivers on the edges, but it's there, real. Elvis kneels beside her, lowering himself until his cape pools on the stage floor, catching flecks of light from the footlamps. His eyes stay locked on hers. "It's all right," he says under the music, almost like a secret. The song is "Love Me Tender." The pianist keeps it gentle, giving her room. The bass player's fingers hover, barely touching the strings. You can hear the faint scrape of the microphone cord against the floor. Smell the faint tang of hairspray. As Marcy leans toward the mic, Elvis tilts his head, listening as if she's the only sound in the room. She grows steadier with each line. By the second verse there's strength in her tone, a bell-like clarity that cuts through the haze of smoke and silence. Elvis eases in with harmony, his voice warm but deliberately lower, letting hers rise above. A few people in the crowd glance at each other, surprised at how the moment is shifting. Midway through the chorus, Elvis grins. Without missing a beat, he leans toward her and murmurs into the shared mic, "You're stealing my job, darlin'." Laughter bursts through the room, not breaking the spell but deepening it. Marcy smiles, a quick shy flash, and keeps going. The band follows her lead now. Drums settle into a slow heartbeat rhythm, strings swelling softly. Flashbulbs pop from the back of the room, catching tiny crystals of light off Elvis's suit. In the final refrain, Elvis pulls back from his mic entirely, turning his body toward her. The audience realizes he's letting her take it home alone. Every eye in the room stays on her as she sings the last line, holding it just a second longer than anyone expected. Silence. A suspended moment. Then the room erupts. Applause slams against the walls, cheers bouncing off the chandelier. People stand, clapping over their heads. Elvis doesn't rush it. He reaches into the collar of his jumpsuit, pulls free a silk scarf and drapes it over her shoulders. The white fabric glows against her dress under the lights. He leans in, kisses her cheek. Cameras flash in a staccato rhythm. Instead of guiding her off stage, Elvis turns to the audience. His voice lifts over the noise. "You folks don't know the half of it." The crowd quiets instantly. Some lean forward in their seats. He keeps one arm draped around Marcy's shoulders, holding her in the circle of light. "This little lady, well, let me tell you something." Marcy looks down, embarrassed but grinning, the scarf bunched in her fists. Elvis glances at the band, giving them a small hold gesture. The instruments fade, leaving only the faint hum of the amplifier. The moment hangs, 1,000 people waiting for the rest of the story. Elvis lowers the mic slightly, as if he's about to share something personal. "Her brother just told me," and the crowd leans in as one. Elvis lifts the mic back to his lips, eyes still on Marcy. "Her brother just told me she's never sung in public before tonight." A low wave of surprise ripples through the crowd. Some gasp, others break into applause. Marcy covers her face with both hands, half laughing, half crying. The stage feels warmer now, the lights beating down as if to magnify the moment. From the back of the room, waiters pause mid-step, trays balanced, watching. The smell of whiskey and cigarette smoke lingers in the still air. Elvis straightens, letting the moment breathe before speaking again. "You know, I was just a boy in Tupelo once, standing in church too shy to look up from the floor." He chuckles softly, shaking his head. If someone hadn't given me a chance, I might still be back there hiding. Marcy lowers her hands, meeting his. There's a flicker of recognition in her expression, like his words have reached a part of her she thought was hidden. The audience leans forward. Elvis continues, sometimes it just takes one night, one song, for everything to change. A spotlight sweeps across the room, catching faces. A middle-aged couple wiping tears in sync. A man in an Air Force uniform clapping slowly, deliberately. An usher, forgetting his post, leaning on the back rail, eyes fixed on the stage. It's no longer just Marcy's moment. The connection is radiating outward, a shared heartbeat among strangers. Elvis says, "You folks just witnessed something rare. The very first time this young lady ever let her voice out into the world." The applause swells again, rolling through the room like a tide. Marcy's brother stands now, grinning so wide it's almost disbelief. Elvis glances back at her. "And I've got a feeling, this ain't gonna be her last time." A few in the crowd shout encouragements. "Sing another," while others chant her name. Marcy shakes her head, overwhelmed, the scarf still draped across her shoulders. Elvis, grinning, says, "You know what? I think she just earned herself a lifetime ticket." The crowd roars. Some stand again. Marcy's brother laughs, clapping until his hands are red. The band shifts on their stools. The faint squeak of a drum pedal, the muted tuning of a guitar, the rustle of sheet music. The air feels charged, as if the night might turn in an unexpected direction. Elvis leans down to Marcy, speaking into her ear off mic. Her eyes widen at whatever he says. She glances toward the wings, then back to the audience, biting her lip. Elvis steps forward, grins at the band, and calls out, "Let's give her one more." The room explodes in cheers. The lights don't dim this time, they flare brighter, as if the room itself is leaning in. The band slides into a slow bluesy groove. A bass line hums low, steady, almost like a heartbeat. Elvis keeps Marcy at his side. "You feel like humming along?" he asks. She nods, barely audible. The guitar strings give a warm shimmer under the light. You can hear the faint squeal of the mic when she leans in. The air smells faintly of hot metal from the stage rigs above. Elvis begins to improvise, his voice playful but rich. "Well, there's a little girl with a big dream tonight." The crowd chuckles, clapping in rhythm. "She's stealing my spotlight, but I don't mind." Marcy hums softly into the mic, her pitch dead on. Elvis exaggerates a bow in her direction, which gets another burst of laughter from the crowd. He looks out over the audience, one eyebrow raised, as if asking their permission to keep her there. They answer with whistles and applause. The song winds down. Elvis pulls the mic from its stand and hands it to Marcy. "Tell them your name, darlin'." She swallows hard. "Marcy," she says, the words small but clear. The audience erupts, chants of "Marcy, Marcy" fill the room, stomps echoing off the floorboards. Elvis laughs, clapping along with them. He kneels, looking her in the eye. "Now you've got fans too." The night continues, the set list bending around the moment. Elvis eventually guides her back toward the stairs, the scarf still on her shoulders. He gives her one last squeeze before she disappears into the crowd's embrace. She thinks that's the end of it, just a story she'll tell at school, a night frozen in memory. But a week later, according to her family, the doorbell rings. It's early afternoon. The kitchen smells of fresh coffee. Sunlight spills across the table. A deliveryman stands in the doorway, holding a large rectangular box. The label reads, "Hilton International, Las Vegas." Marcy's hands shake as she slices the tape. Inside, cushioned in tissue paper, is a gleaming guitar, sunburst finish, fretboard polished smooth. A signed message sprawls across the body, in bold black marker. "You'll always have a seat in the front row." Elvis, her brother, reads it twice, his mouth hanging open. They notice something else. The strap is worn, faint sweat stains along the leather. It's not just a gift, it's the guitar he played that very night. Marcy runs her fingers over the strings. The last note from Vegas feels like it's still in there. She doesn't know it yet, but this instrument will hang on her wall for decades, and every time she looks at it, she'll hear his voice saying, "You're all right." The guitar still hangs on her wall 40 years later. The sunburst finish has dulled a little, but the black marker signature is as bold as the night it was written. Marcy never became a professional singer. But that night in Las Vegas changed something deeper than her resume. She can still remember the heat from the Hilton showroom lights, the smell of perfume drifting in from the row behind her, the faint metallic tang of the microphone when she sang her first public note. Her brother likes to tell the story, embellishing just enough to make her swat his arm, about how she almost didn't bring the cardboard sign, and how she held it folded under her jacket for most of the show. When people ask about the scarf, she smiles. "Still got it," she says, pulling it from a drawer. The white silk has yellowed slightly with age. She runs her fingers over the spot where Elvis's hand had tied the knot around her shoulders. The guitar became more than an artifact. It became a reminder that her voice had been worth hearing. She joined the church choir within months of that night. Later she sang at weddings, charity events, even led Christmas carols in the town square. She never auditioned for record labels, but the stage in some form was always hers. At community events, people would nudge each other. "That's Marcy." Elvis brought her on stage once. She would laugh it off, but inside she carried the moment like a secret spark. Her brother says, she never saw herself the same way after that. Elvis gave her permission to be heard. And every now and then she still gets letters. Someone who was in the audience that night. Someone who saw the clip on an old VHS recording passed down through a family. They all say the same thing: "I was there. I remember. Close your eyes, and you can almost be back there." The low hum of the amps. The soft shuffle of ushers along the aisles. The shimmer of sequins in the crowd as they stood. And the sound, thousands of voices chanting a name that wasn't his. Marcy. 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 Sometimes it only takes one moment. One person choosing to stop, listen, and lift someone up, to rewrite the rest of your story. For Marcy, it was a man in a white jumpsuit, halfway through a love song, who heard something no one else did. She looks at the guitar every morning before leaving her house. Not as a trophy but as proof she belonged on that stage, even for just one night. The leather strap still holds faint salt lines from sweat. When the light hits the strings, you can almost see them vibrate, as if waiting for her to play the first note again. And somewhere in the memory, he's still there, leaning down, steady hand outstretched, saying, "You're all right." Kindness isn't just remembered, it multiplies. That night in Vegas still ripples outward, carried in every song Marcy sang. If this moved you, share it with someone who believes kindness can change a life. What's the one moment someone gave you a chance you'll never forget? Tell it in the comments. You never know who might need to hear it.